Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendes. This is the big match preview, the Addicts, with another big match this weekend as we face Peterborough on the road as we continue our battle to try and sneak into those top two places before the end of the season. Joining me to look ahead to that game, first up top right, Sue Gallup. How you doing, Sue?
I'm very good, thank you, Louis. Hope everyone's good tonight.
Yeah, belated happy birthday for the other day. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Lovely stuff. And also joining us on the bottom of the screen there to celebrate Sue's birthday, not wearing any trousers, apparently, is Mark Newbury. How you doing, Mark?
Yeah, I'm great, mate. But next year when she hits the big one, I'll do it naked. It's fine. It's no problem.
Yeah, okay. Well, hopefully the show will have finished by then. I'll take us off the air if that's going to be the case. Good to see you both. So on tonight's show, as I said, we'll look ahead to the game with Peterborough very shortly. We're going to hear from the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones, as he looks ahead to that big match as well. We're going to hear from a POSH fan later on in the show. Harry from Up the POSH Cast, which is a great name for a podcast, will be joining us as well. We've got another special guest as well, Tracy Leeburn, the head of player care at the club, is going to come and tell us a little bit about the prostate cancer, the PSA testing that the club are going to be doing ahead of the Huddersfield game, and how you can help fund that and sponsor Tracy and Charlotte as well as they do their half marathon. A couple of other things we'll tidy up. We'll look ahead to the season ticket prices got announced today. If anyone wants to have a say on that, feel free. We'll talk about the suggestion that away fans might at times next season be moved out of the Jimmy Seed stand. Perhaps if we get a chance, we'll look at some of the other clubs' run-ins as well, which is something I keep telling myself we're not going to do. But then every week I keep finding myself doing it anyway. So I thought maybe we'll get it on screen and have a bit of a chat about that before we hear from Nathan Jones. I want to say good evening to everyone in the chat as well. David Evans is in there first. Evening all. Got my tickets for the POSH game on Saturday. Looking forward to seeing the Addicts bag another free valuable points. Bebek says, can't wait to see the boys win as well. Second place, here we come. Gary's in there. All hell let loose. Sam Paul is in there with will comfortably be the best joke of the show. Evening all, they won't be a posh over, but we should still get the points quite comfortably. So there we go. Alan's in there. Mickey, Danny, sure. Let us know your thoughts ahead of Saturday. How would you like to see us line up? How are you feeling ahead of this game? It's an interest. I think it's probably more difficult than it might have been a few weeks ago. Put it that way, looking at Peterborough's form ahead of that game. So plenty to get involved with. Email studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live, or you can head over to YouTube and put in a live comment in our live YouTube chat. So just before we hear from the gaffer, from Nathan Jones, it's a big game Saturday. I think it's even bigger than it. Well, again, not getting carried away with other teams' results, but old Dylan didn't do us a favour during the week with his goalkeeping when Rotherham were beaten by Wickham on Tuesday night. I mean, if anything else, and again, we're not concentrating too much on what the other sides do, apart from every time I mention it, which is a lot. But it shows that, I mean, in order to be part of this top two race, we can't rely on others to drop many points. We have to be pretty flawless.
Yeah, we've been saying it for weeks, though, haven't we? Like, just focus on ourselves, do our thing. Everyone else is going to do what they do. We've got no control over that at all, and there's no point in us stressing about it, even though inside, when we're watching a game, we're still scrolling through all the other scores. But again, it's we can only control what we can control in terms of our games. So let's just try and chill out a bit and just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, we will. Right, let's have a listen then to what the Addicts boss Nathan Jones has to say ahead of the trip to Peterborough. This is him speaking with Terry earlier on today.
That was Josh Edwards because of injury. How is he? The one he picked up at Crawley, how is he now? Is he improving? Is there any possibility that he could figure against Peterborough?
Yeah, there's real possibility. I mean, with Josh, it was just a really tight grind that you've just got to be careful. I mean, you've got to forget, where he came from and the games he's played, the minutes he has, the way he plays, the energy and the what he puts into every performance. So it may be a little bit of an enforced rest that he had last week, but look, he's a lot better now. So look, we'll see.
But again, as we found out with Corey Anderson, with Tane Watson coming into the side, it's almost like it's seamless.
Well, look, the work we do means that everyone who's in those positions gets the same detail. It's how then they implement it. What the credit is to people that come in is the ones that sometimes don't play for a week or two or however long it is, that they are there physically and mentally, and that's the credit to the group, because some groups are not like that. If you're not playing, there's a lethargy about certain things. Ours are all at it, and we reiterate that, we demand that, we drive that home, but then they have to make sure that they implement that, and so far they have.
A few first teams got a run out for the under-21s on Tuesday at the Valley. Unfortunately, Daniel Kenny came off injured. How is he? Is it anything serious?
Well, it's just he rolled his ankle, so we got to assess that and see where we are. Unfortunate, because he probably just needed some minutes to get him fresh and to keep him focused for the run in. The others got good minutes, which we were really pleased with, so they came through unscathed, and it was needed, and it was a very good competitive game. So look, we'll see where we are with Dan. We'll have to scan that because as I said, he rolled his ankle. It's a bit similar to what he did against Birmingham earlier on the season.
3 of our remaining 9 games are against sides that are in the top 6. I think you've already touched on it really, but is it more difficult to focus on the rest rather than the 3, because the 3 games will be huge?
We only focus on the next one, whatever that is, And League One football, the margins are so small between top teams, between teams that are mid-table, teams that are just trying to get mid-table, or whatever it is. The margins are so small, so you prepare in exactly the same way. And again, we keep reiterating, all we can focus on is us and being the best versions of ourselves. And if we're that, then that's all we can affect.
I mean, you probably answered the next one as well, because Peterborough away on Saturday, they're unbeaten in the last 6 games and battling to pull away from those relegation places. So I mean, it's a cliche to say there are no easy games, and this one certainly won't be.
Well, it won't be, and they're a really good attacking football side. They have been, under Darren, well coached, well drilled. Got some really exciting players, so they'll be the toughest test away from home. So we're going to need to be the best versions of ourselves, as we keep saying. And there's
another sold out away support travelling up to Peterborough, 2,500 or so Charlton fans. I mean, it's an indication of the positivity that's just oozing around the club at the minute.
Well, look, as I said, we expect it now from Charlton fans, because they're excellent, and as I said, it's a relatively local one, and hopefully we can we'll put in a performance where they can be proud of that, and it'll be worth the journey, if you like. But look, we're all aligned now, the fans are behind us, and all we have to do now is just keep focused, keep doing the right things, and see where that takes us.
There you go. That's Nathan looking ahead to Saturday's game. With Peterborough. Just a couple of messages. Isaac said, Sue, don't let Dylan Phillips anywhere near the Ex-Players Association after that performance this week. I mean, yeah, he got promoted at Wembley, but you've got to draw a line at conceding a late corner against Wickham when we're trying to attack the top 6. Yeah, and then Dudley's asking if Pete Burrows is doing the commentary this week. I love the fact that Peter Burrows is the same name that they've given the rabbit that is the mascot. Pete loves that as well. We do have commentary on BBC Radio London this weekend. I think it's Mort's alongside me on DAB, so listen out for that if you need commentary of the game. Mark, Peterborough undefeated since they last played us at the Valley 6 games ago for them. Macca's last goal. The amount of goals they've scored, I always thought they would be higher up the table than they would have been. I mean, when they came to us, they were in the top 4 for goal scorers. They're now 5th highest, so they've been consistently scoring goals all season. And like I said, they've hit a bit of form now, so it's not going to be an easy game. And you know, if you're a top 2 side, you go into games that aren't easy and you get something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was one a few weeks ago I put down as I didn't think we'd get anything from it. And it's interesting to see how Peterborough have dealt with losing Clark Harris in the summer, because he was such a big, player for them. But they've managed now to sort of like spread the goals around the team. And it's going to be tough. It's a horrible, pokey, tight ground. You're very close to the pitch. I think, the difference is having so many of us there can really affect them. And again, we know how good we are at breaking people's runs. So if they haven't lost to us since us, let's do it again. And I think that they are where they are for a reason. They may have been scoring goals, but obviously they're leaking like a sieve as well. So I think if we do the aforementioned best version of ourselves and we turn up, and tactically I think he's not going to change too much, because why should he? Maybe I can be persuaded that we can get something. It's not a sort of like a negativity, but I just think it's Peterborough. We don't have the greatest record there, over the years, but I think we're a different beast this season. And I think it's not really we've got so many sort of like new players. It's not really getting to anyone's minds. So, it's only really, in forums, and we mention it, that, the record isn't great. But with players, I think the confidence, which is rapidly oozing through them, and like I say, from that, I don't think Josh is going to be involved. I think Nathan was playing his cards close to his chest, but I don't think he expected him to be back. So it's going to be the same back 5. No problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned our record against POSH. Obviously, that win against them at home was the first time in, I think, 13 meetings with them in all comps. We haven't won at London Road in a league game for 15 years, Sue. So obviously, I mean, in there, there's probably about 7 or 8 league visits. It's not a happy hunting ground for us. But I mean, how many teams have we said that about this season? It's a shame Millwall aren't in our division this year, because I mean, Bristol Rovers, we always seem to struggle against them. Done them at home this season. I think there's other clubs that we've had similar records against that we've actually defeated this year. So that sort of thing has gone out the window. So hopefully that won't really sort of play a part in Saturday for us.
No, I think like this season again, it was tricky to begin with, up until, like you say, sort of just before Christmas, and I think we can't judge this side on the season's gone by and the fact that we haven't won at Peterborough since 2010. I think I was there then as well, actually.
That 5-1 game, yeah.
I think this is it is the start of something so fresh and new that I'm not really even bothering to look at these stats of how many times we've lost against them, how many times we've won against them, when's the last time we won there, whatever. I don't care. What I care about is what's going to happen this Saturday. It's a completely different team now, but you can't compare any of them previous games. So in the seasons gone by, because this is just as we're getting carried away and we're getting confident and we're hopeful that we're going to do something really special this season, we can't then have the mindset where we keep going, oh yeah, but we ain't won there for 15 years. It's a new day, it's a new game, it's a new team, it's completely different circumstances, and the belief that the players have got now, and the belief that's within the fan base now. I mean, to sell out twice effectively, because we sold out the second allocation and we've now been given more tickets. The fans are in that same mindset. So I don't care what happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago. What matters is what happens on Saturday, and then the Saturday after, and the Saturday after that. Don't worry about what's happened before.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting actually talking about a different club, but Leyton Orient with Richie Wellens, he always tells off Dave, as he was saying on our show a few weeks ago, for thinking about old Leyton Orient, the same old Leyton Orient. Nathan has done similar with us. He's changed our sort of tune, especially over the last few seasons when you think that we wouldn't really go, into games like that feeling confident, but you've got to feel an element of confidence. I mean, our away record over the last few weeks is just 1 defeat in 6 now, Mark, and that was away at Birmingham, which obviously doesn't count. So 0 defeats in 6. It's improved. I mean, what do we need to do in terms of an away performance to get the points of Peterborough? Because that is the other part of this, is depending on what we think our goal is now for the rest of the season. I have firmly got on board of I want to finish in the top 2. It's been in my head for a couple of weeks. I was reluctant, but now it's in my head. Then we have to win. I think we have to win probably 7 or 8 out of 9 games. So we have to think of a way to go and attack this game and win, which is the way Nathan probably approaches the game anyway. I can't remember ever seeing Nathan say, right, I fancy a draw this weekend. Let's try and make that happen.
No, I think he starts Godden and TC, and if you look at the bench, if he's got Miles and possibly Gasfair, obviously Carnu won't be there, obviously, after doing his ankle. Don't know with where Chucks is with his fitness, but it's looking great. Gilbert on the bench. As we said, we've got changes now there. We can work a different way. I think if you let the front 2 run at a defence and wear them out, and then you can bring on sort of like Miles, who can then use his physicality and holds the ball well. And again, he's got really good control, really great control for someone so tall. And I think, like it's going to sound almost like copy and paste. Just do what we've been doing. The midfield, Doc Berry, Coventry. Now that yellow card isn't hanging over Coventry, we might see a bit more battling. Not that he wasn't, but it's a bit of an extra relief for him. Or does he put Karoy in there, who's just going to be everywhere and help with the energy? It's I mean, I just saw him read on the aside about that Kiprianu's not going to be there, and I think that's a player. I'd laughed a few weeks ago when Ferguson had said that he was the best player in League One, and I thought, yeah, I don't think so. Really, really don't think so. But I mean, he's got to big up his own player, so they're going to be missing some players. They didn't sort of like call it off, which is fair play to them. They think they have enough to worry us. We've got to had a whole week training, a whole week's resting, working on it. I'm trying to sound a lot more positive, and I agree with Sue. You're not looking back 5 years. And as I said, I think this team is a different beast to a man. And I think if we do what we've been doing, we know we can do it well, and we can grind teams down eventually. I mean, if we win 1-0 again, doesn't matter. 3 points. That's the thing. 3 points. Whether okay, goal difference, but 3 points. That's what you want.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Hector Kipriani, so he's away with Cyprus. I think he's their only player missing on international duty from what I can see, but they've lost Teo Eden, who it sounds like is now their best player, to a suspension. It sounds like he's done really well. So a few weeks ago, if I was told Teo Eden would be playing, I wouldn't be that bothered. But now it sounds like he's done really well there, so they're going to be missing him, which is a big thing for them. Concentrating on us at this moment in time, Sue, and these things can change, but none of our players have been called up from their reserve list for their international team. So the two I'm worried about there, Connor and Thierry, we haven't seen anything. So I'm hoping that will remain the case. So we're in a good position in terms of the squad. As Mark mentioned, what he said on Edwards, you're not really sure. But I mean, looking at that team news, again, is there a great deal of maneuver you want to do there? I guess so. If Edwards is fit, then he probably comes back in with Watson going out and Thierry going back over to the right-hand side. But other than that, it's the same old. It's the same old, I guess, conversation about who's going to partner Tyrese. Is it Matty or is it Miles? And don't feel like you have to say one because his mum's about to join us. But that sort of thing. I mean, in terms of the team news, are there many changes you want to make?
No, I think what you've just said is spot on. I would want Josh back in if Nathan feels he's able to do even 70, 75 minutes. And I think I'd go back to Matty starting with TC, and then Miles being that fantastic impact sub that he can be. So yeah, I think Matty and TC with their pace, pressuring the back line and the goalkeeper, is definitely gonna. I mean, I was just gutted for Matty not getting his third last week, and so it'd be good for him to sort of just carry on that really good run.
Yeah, I think everyone seems to be agreeing in the chat. Gordon to start, says Alex. It's his former club, of course, spent a season with the POSH that scored 2. Sam wants to see Gordon up front. Ethan wants to see Matty all day. Jeremy saying an unchanged side for me. Interested, Jeremy, if Edwards was available, would you bring him back in? That's just a question for Jeremy, since he said unchanged. He might. We don't know for certain, though. In terms of one part of the pitch that I think will be quite interesting, Mark, I was looking at set pieces. Now, it's been a long-standing joke, of course, that we're not good at set pieces, but we have been good at set pieces for a while now. In terms of XG for, XG against, if you look at that sort of thing, goals for, goals against from set pieces, we're quite good at. POSH don't seem to be. So if it is going to be a tight game, how much could set pieces play a big part for us on Saturday?
Huge. I mean, and now Macca's got a taste for the goals. You know, I think he's going to be grabbing everything. So I think if a penalty, he'll be trying to grab it off Gordon. That's the thing. We've got what's the word? Variety now from our set pieces. Before it used to be try and hit one person, and if we didn't get it, then nothing came from it. Now I think we're seeing trying a few things. I mean, having a set piece coach now is obligatory for every club, and it's working, and it's good to see it's working. So it's an interesting thing. And like say from corners, we've got height in the team, and we've got cover. So if we don't get it, you know, the second ball, it's good to see. And like I say, scoring from corners, scoring from free kicks, it isn't something we've been, you know, we used to like wow over some of them. You know, El Kakuri put them in him, or Jensen curling one open top corner. But it hasn't really been our thing for seasons. But now you're thinking to yourself, right, these are the opportunities. And it's not just getting the opportunities, it's taking the opportunities. And that's the thing. It's not hitting the wall or hitting the first man at a corner. Every corner from now, because we've got a variety of takers, because Berry takes it, Edwards takes it, I takes it, you know, and now we're putting it into dangerous areas and attacking it, and we're getting our rewards for it. And it's good to see. I mean, that's what you want. You know, so a plan.
Yeah, it is only about 4 or 5 weeks since we played the POSH at home. So, I mean, do you think that has any bearing on the fact that we've played them relatively recently? Like, could we've learned something from that game? Because it was a strange game, that one. I feel like we were quite dominant in the first half. Second half was a bit more even, and they even went down to 10. But it took until that late header from Macca to win it. I mean, are you expecting a similar sort of contest this time around?
Probably, yeah. Because again, other than the one player that you've mentioned that has been called up, both sides are probably going to set up similarly. So I can't imagine the game would be a lot different. I don't know. Maybe with it being away from home, a little bit of pressure off for us. Maybe more of the pressure is on Peterborough because it's at home for them. That you might see us playing with a bit more freedom. I don't know. It's so difficult to predict at the moment because we have been so consistently good. I don't think you can read too much into the game because it's only like 5 games ago. You say 5-6 games ago. I don't think you can read too much into that. They probably want a bit of payback. But again, we're perfectly capable of managing other teams' pressures with our back line being as solid as they are, as it is, and even the defensive strengths we've got in the midfield. So yeah, I mean, I can see it being a 1-0, but equally it could be like another 5-1.
Yeah. Well, I'll take that, certainly. I'll take either of them, to be fair. James said he'd like to see Gilbert over Berry in the midfield. mark. I mean, is that a situation that you could see happening? Obviously, Gilbert, I think was it last week he missed through illness, wasn't on the bench. Would you see that? So I thought Berry had one of his best games last week, to be fair.
Yeah, I did. I thought he was flitting around everywhere, and gets into that box, gets himself into positions. I'd like him, and I think he'll say himself he knows he should have scored at least, off the top of my head, 4 more than he's got so far. He's got into the positions, and he's blasted over. He's hit people, and I like his energy, and I like Gilbert when he started. I liked him. He was having a crack. He was having a go, but I don't think he brought the same kind of annoying, buzzing bee kind of energy that Berry does. And as not to his detriment, he's just a different type of player. And I think if you've got a tiring team and you can get someone like Gilbert on the ball and picking a pass, and like I say, it was his corner, which Macca scored a header from. So, and it's funny because you say it's 6 games ago, but it seems like 16 games ago now. It's the way it's gone. It's just like crazy. But no, I'd go with Berry, Doc, and Coventry all day. I just think that just works.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, Alex says, I think Gilbert to attack him for an away game would rather take that risk at home against a weaker opponent. Isaac said, I'd like to see him come on a bit earlier if it looks like we need a bit of creativity. James said he thought Berry played well, but he was puffing at the end. Dudley says, Bez starts and he's due a goal. All hell let loose, says Gilbert's come on for the last 20 minutes. Right, we'll look ahead more to the Peterborough game later on in the show, but delighted to say we've got a special guest who joins us now. It's the head of first team player care for Charlton Athletic, a very lovely lady. Tracy Leeburn joins us live on Charlton Live. How you doing, Tracy?
Very good, thank you. How are you all? Hi.
Yeah, really good to see you. And you're coming on for a really important reason as well. So ahead of the Huddersfield game next weekend, the club are doing their PSA testing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's happening next weekend?
Yeah, so we've got the PSA testing. There was literally a few spaces left. I've literally just gone on and seen that they've gone now, but there is a waiting list as well, because unfortunately people will have their lives change in the next week. So it is important that if you want to book in for a test, please still do, and you'll go on the waiting list. So, I mean, we've been hosting this now for 5 years, and the amount of men that have found out, unfortunately, through the testing that they had no symptoms, but they've found out they had prostate cancer. So it's definitely so worthwhile, and has obviously saved so many lives.
Yeah, and obviously a subject very close to your heart. I mean, we've done all sorts of fundraising with yourself. I mean, tell us a little bit about your personal story and how it's inspired you to help so many people down at Charlton.
Well, obviously losing my dad was horrendous. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, and it took me about 4 years to kind of not get over the grief, but try and move on. And I thought I need to do something positive. So it was just very much, in the end, the idea was that men go to football, but they don't go to the doctors. So why don't we as Charlton bring the testing? So that's what we've done. And like, I feel sorry when men come up to me at Charlton and go, oh, thank you. I just got to say thank you. Like, you saved my life. I found out I had prostate cancer, and I'm literally like crying, going, I'm so sorry. And they're like, no, I found out I got it early, so I'm going to be fine. So, you know, it does help me to know that other families are not going to go through what we've gone through. I mean, your support, obviously, as well, has been amazing. We cycled to Amsterdam together, didn't we? And now I'm on marathon training. This is a killer.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say next. So in order to help fund the PSA testing day, I mean, yourself and Charlotte Richardson are putting yourselves through, well, let's just say something that feels a bit probably even harder than cycling to Amsterdam, and I found that pretty hard.
Honestly, like, I've never done anything like this before in my life, and I never will again. Everyone's like, oh, you do the half marathon, then you want to do the whole one. I'm like, no, I won't. Like, the impact on your body, especially I'm over 50 now, is horrendous. But I am lucky. I've got a good support network. Like, when we go away with the team, I'll go on a run with some of the guys, like running along Blackpool, you know. And then yesterday I did 6.5 miles. And then my little treat is Lloyd Jones. I always meet him for lunch, and then we go to the spa. So he's taught me how to use a foam roller, and we have a bit of a chill out. So he's been like really, all of the lads have been really supportive, but that's my kind of like little treat. If I get it done, I'm allowed to like have a nice little lunch afterwards, a bit of a chill.
Yeah, and didn't you did some sort of training session with the squad and Nathan Jones as well? I mean, so you got an insight into what he puts your poor son through every day, I imagine. What sort of levels was that like?
It was. I swear they slowed that video down. I felt pale. It was just a warm up, but my God, like I swear I felt it for a week. It was obviously I'm training with athletes, and the boys were really supportive, but they were also taking it really serious. They had a serious game, and I couldn't take that away from the normal training. So like I'm trying to be really professional and like run as fast as I can, but yeah, I realize that's just the warm-up, so God knows what happens in the full sessions. It's this running lark is definitely not for me. Like 8 miles I had to do on Sunday.
Yeah, you wouldn't catch me doing that, unfortunately. So just a quick reminder then, where can people get themselves on the waiting list for the PSA testing, and also where do they need to head in order to sponsor you for the London Landmarks half marathon?
So the Barry Kilby is the website. It's on the Charlton website as well, so you can just click on to book a test. And then I've got a Good Hub GoFundMe page, which is on my Twitter page, which I can retweet as well. So even like all of the money raised goes towards testing our fans, but also other people in the UK as well. So like if I'm over my what's it called, target, then yeah, it just helps to know that when you give that money over, it 100% goes to the charity to pay phlebotomists, the testing kits, I have the couriers come, the clinics. Obviously that's when the fans get their test results literally like the next day. So yeah, it's definitely do.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And just finally then, we have to ask you, because you're part of the club, obviously, how are you feeling about the run-in for the season? It's getting exciting, isn't it?
I probably feel like you do. It's like, wow. It's like, I don't know if you just call it a tornado or something. You're just literally like, we've all been through it. We've all been at this club for so long. Like I've been here now 10 years, and oh gosh, sorry. The captain's just messaging me, sorry. It's just like, wow, like it's so exciting. It's so exciting for all of us, but it's just like a little bit like, wow, trying to see where we've been, what we've been through, and then now where we are at the moment, 4th place. It's just like, wow, so it's really exciting. The buzz around the training ground is amazing, and everyone is just really working hard together, and I think that's the most important thing from all of us.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, Tracy, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on Charlton Live, one of the best people at the club, and doing something really important there. So thanks for your time this evening.
That's all right. And thank you all for sponsoring and supporting the PSA testing. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you. Have a good day.
Cheers. See you later. There we go. That's Tracy Leeburn joining us on Charlton Live this evening. We'll share the links as well on our Twitter page to sign up for the PSA testing. Or to get on the waiting list and to donate as well. I mean, don't forget, anyone who signed up before the fixture next weekend got moved forward by 2.5 hours. That your appointment gets moved forward by 2.5 hours, because that's an early kickoff because of Sky next weekend. So yeah, just remember that. Right, we will have a quick break. When we come back, we will turn our attention back to Saturday's trip up to Peterborough.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the river. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live. This is the big match preview. Great to hear from Tracy just before the adverts there. Lots of love for Tracy in the comments, as there should be. Although, as Isaac says, I want to have a spa day with Lloydie as well. Well, Ben spotted him in Sainsbury's. That's not quite the same, I guess, unless he took him down like the toiletries aisle. But yeah, that's a start. But yeah, that must be nice. James says maybe Sue and Mark to do the marathon next year. You up for that, Sue?
Funny enough, right, you joke about this. I've applied 3 times and not got a place.
What happens if you just like hop the barrier on the day? I'm sure they won't. No one will stop you.
What, just run after everybody?
Yeah.
No reason at all.
Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. I'd definitely be after everyone and not ahead of them if I ever got to do it. Right, let's look ahead to Saturday's trip to Peterborough. There's a change in the advertised guest from the podcast. It's going to be Ashley who joins us now. Ashley from Up the Poshcast, which, as I said earlier in today's show, I think is one of the best names I've ever heard. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you all?
Yeah, really, really good. Thanks for your time this evening. Ooh, it's going to be an interesting game on Saturday. Probably slightly more interesting for us than for you guys, if that's fair. Because I think you've pulled away a little bit now from the relegation places, so you're not quite there, but in a better position. But yeah, so sum up your season so far. It probably didn't go as planned for a side that's been in the playoffs the last couple of years.
No, I mean, look, it's been absolutely awful. And the last Charlton game, like you guys have been discussing, was sort of the last time that we'd lost in the last sort of 6-7 games it is now. But before that, it was just absolute misery. And you really do actually take for granted winning. Like, it was so weird. Like, it's so naive and weird to think that we've never really experienced that as Posh fans. Definitely not in League One. Certainly, I'm 30 years old. In the last sort of 20 years, we've just not experienced losing to this level unless we've been in the Championship. And then when we are in the Championship, we're such a small fish, it's kind of expected. So yeah, look, it's not been a great season. It looks like we've probably turned the corner, like I say, after the Charlton game. But I'd like 6 more points from what we've got left, just to sort of guarantee it, just because there's that. I think it's Burton sat just below in the relegation zone. They're the only ones that I think now have probably got a realistic chance of staying out. So, 6 more points would be nice, but whether they come at 3 of those come at the weekend is going to be a different question, I think.
Hi, Ashley. Obviously you would have heard us talking about the game when we beat you at the Valley right at the death, but do you think as a side that they will take any part of that game into the game on Saturday, and how do you think you're going to kind of line up against us, knowing how strong we are at the moment, both home and away?
Yeah, so obviously you mentioned that you thought that we'd probably line up similar. We actually probably will line up completely different, purely because when we came to your guys' place, it was a 5 at the back. It was potentially a 3 and maybe a 2 if you really wanted to go that far, but it was probably more of a 5-4-1. And that sort of just summed up, like, that was probably the bottom of the pit. And it was just not how Peterborough United play. So after that, we've gone back to the 4 at the back, the 2 midfielders, the 3, and then the 1 up top. And ultimately, the results have then come true. Obviously, to lose the way that we did at Charlton was not surprising at the time, but disappointing nonetheless, because, look, to make it to the 88th minute and then to lose from a corner, regardless of how you guys good are at corners and how bad we are, was disappointing. But equally, if you'd have said, you're only going to lose 2-1 at the start of the season or the start of the game, I'd have probably snapped your hand off, because it was one of those where we were just in such a bad run of form that it felt like any result could have been, sort of just an absolute disaster for us. So we're playing better. I think that, if the fixtures were reversed and we'd have played at home 5 weeks ago and we were going away tomorrow, I'd probably have a little bit more confidence, because our away form has been better than home as of recent. But equally, at the same time, I think we've probably only played 2 or 3 home games One of those was against Wycombe, where we conceded in the 92nd minute an equaliser. The other was Shrewsbury, where they had a player sent off in the first 10 seconds. So it's been really weird to sort of judge where we're at home, whereas away from home, it sort of seems like we're trending up, even if we're only sort of nicking results 1-0, like at Huddersfield, like at Cambridge at the weekend. But yeah, is this week a week that I expect that we're going to get 3 points to take us a little bit further away from the relegation zone? No. Would I like us to? Of course, yes.
Hey, Ashley. First of all, is Grant McCann hanging around the training ground? Because it must be his turn again now, surely. It's just like it was a revolving door with him and Ferguson.
Grant McCann won't be back because of the comments that DMAC made about him and his posse. I think that ship has well and truly sailed.
Oh, probably to empty out his office. I thought they just locked it until he came back. But you're going to be missing Mr. Eden, who you had from us. And we particularly weren't overly impressed with him. But it seems like he's gone to you and he's been, from reports I've read, not saying that in sort of goals, but he's been your best player. So you're going to be missing him this weekend because of his red card. And Cipriano's away on international duty. How big a miss, really, are those two going to be for you, do you think?
Yeah, look, there's no coincidence that our upturn in form is as a result of Cipriano pulling his finger out. And he was a prime candidate for just being absolutely abysmal for sort of the first 5-6 months of the season. The transfer window shut in January, and then all of a sudden he was back to being his brilliant best, realistically. Theo, who's come in, and it's a really difficult one for him because not for him as such. He's obviously found it easy and sort of taken like a duck to water, but he plays how a Peterborough United left back or right back should play. And the guy that he was replacing in Jack Sparks Posh fans never really took to him because he wasn't that like sort of flair player. So I always say with Posh fans is like, well, can you find like the next shiny thing for them to like really love and adore? And that's not to downplay Eden's performances because they have been fantastic. Like I'm sure you've seen, I think he's won 2 of our man of the matches from the podcast, which is 7 of us rating him. So it's not that he's just this shiny thing, and his performances have been good. But when you bring somebody in and they bring something that you've been missing, naturally that helps you to trend towards enjoying them more, doesn't it? So that he'll be a big miss on Saturday, and as will Cipriano. But it's sort of getting to that time of the year now where Cipriano's leaving. Will we have Eden come the end of the season? I'm not sure. Those players that come in have got to sort of try and set the world alight, haven't they? And show that actually we don't need to sign these players. We don't need to sign replacements for them. Take the chance. And with it done as well, we've got the final coming up against Birmingham at Wembley. He can't play in that because I assume that he played for you. So Harley Mills, who is a possible replacement to come in for him, will be the one that probably starts at Wembley. So, what a better time to sort of test yourself than against a team that's up in the top 6 in the division.
Yeah. Teo did play for us in the EFL Trophy, and now I'm thinking about it, he scored away at Cambridge, so he hates them, doesn't he? He just can't stop scoring against them. All Hell Let Loose has just asked about Kwame Poku's coming back. Our own Nathan mentioned it earlier up as well. I noticed he's been out injured but for a few months, but seems to be easing his way back in now. He's a big player for you, isn't he?
Yeah, massive. And I know that there was comments about the best player in League One potentially being Cipriano. Cipriano is not the best player in one, but Kwame Poku absolutely is. And you just sort of have to look at his goal scoring record and his assists. He's been missing for 3.5 months now, and is still sort of sat 4th or 5th in the goal scoring charts. If he'd have had those 3.5 months, then he probably would have been top, above Kone, above Stansfield. He just, when he's on it, which he hasn't been in the games that he's been, he came on for 15 minutes against Wycombe, I think it was, and then obviously he sort of played like 60 minutes against Cambridge. Obviously, it's just getting back into that flow for him, and once he finds it, he was meant to be the one that was going to sort of shoot us to safety. It turns out that we managed to get some results on the board that it wasn't kind of like all on him. But when he decides to turn up again, and I think that the big issue has been the confidence in the hamstring. Like, he had a really bad tear in it. I think he's had to have surgery in it. So he's such an explosive player off the mark that if he's not got that confidence in his hamstring, then of course he's going to sort of be holding back a little bit. once he can get that confidence back, then I'm confident that he will show why somebody needs to snap him up for free, essentially, because he's out of contract at the end of the year. We'll get some compensation payment for him, but to lose somebody like that on a free at the end of the year is disappointing.
Yeah, well, we've all been there with that sort of transfer. And just finally, a lot of people have got sent in questions. I mean, I'll ignore the Wrexham fan who's trying to see if you can do him a favour again. But I mean, people are talking about Darren McAntony. Ethan saying he said that, I mean, Darren Ferguson's job is safe. He says, how do you feel about Darren McAntony? He did a video with Ashley, and they were giving him pelters. So did he come on your pod?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, we did a live January the 5th, I think it was, that we did with him. And there was me, there was Charlie, and there was John. And we had loads of questions come in from viewers of the pod and fans of the football club. And we sort of asked them. We got slated because apparently we gave him an easy ride. But then, the way it is, everybody's like, oh, no, you did a really good job. You can't win in those scenarios, can you? For me personally, I have no issues with DMAC. I also have no issues with him saying that Fergie's job is one of the safest in football, because we've been there, we've done that, we've tried other options, and it just doesn't work. And sometimes when you've just got to fit the way that it does, the model that we have as a football club, I don't see anybody better than Darren Ferguson for the model that we follow. We tried like the Steve Evans, we've tried the Gary Johnsons, we've tried those like rubbish football there where it's just like, it's efficient football, you can't argue that, but that's just not what Posh fans want. And we're going through a rebranding at the moment, and they've released some of the questionnaires that came through, and like exciting and youthful are all of those things. And when you bring in the likes of Gary Johnson and Steve Evans and those sorts of manager, you're not getting those things that you want as a Posh fan. So I'd have no issue if Fergie signed a 10-year contract and we just kept ploughing away and hoping that we could get the Championship, because at some point you would hope that we could stay in the Championship for longer than a season.
Yeah, I mean, the perfect yo-yo club for a while, Peterborough, similar to a lot of teams have been over the season. Actually, that was really interesting. Thanks for your time this evening. Good luck after Saturday for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Cheers. There we go. That's Ashley from Up the Poshcast, who joined us live on Charlton Live this evening. He mentioned Gary Johnson. I didn't remember he was the manager at Peterborough, but I remember when he was manager at Cheltenham, I accidentally took a photo of his bum down at Bromley. I was trying to take a photo of the club cat, and he walked into it, into the shot at the exact time, and it just looked like I was taking a photo of Gary Johnson's bum, which is a bit embarrassing. Right, let's discuss season ticket prices to move on swiftly from that. The season ticket prices have been announced this evening. I mean, everyone in the chat, let us know, as your seat gone up. It looks like they're freezing the prices at last year's phase 2. So if you bought in phase 1, then it's more expensive than it would have been. So that's what a lot of people have found. But also, one of the things that's been mentioned, Sue, is the fact that they're going to, at times next season, move the away supporters from the Jimmy Seed stand, out of the Jimmy Seed stand, into the West Upper if there's a lower amount of away supporters. And they say it's to trial potentially getting home fans in that end at some point, although it sounds like they're just doing the away fan bit at this moment for this season. And what's your thoughts on that, for starters, the idea of perhaps trying to turn the Jimmy Seed stand back into a home end at some point?
I mean, I said to you off air, didn't I? I know it was talked about years ago when Pards was manager, because he'd said he had a really strong view that Jimmy Seed should be a home stand because the acoustics are absolutely amazing in there. I think I've been in there first game back at the Valley. Actually, I was in the Jimmy Seed, and the view isn't great. I don't know why. I think it feels like it's a bit steeper, and the rows are a little bit closer together, so it feels like people are just right in front of you. I mean, I can understand it if you've only got a couple of 300 away fans come in, moving them up to the West Upper, saving money on sort of stewarding and concession stands and everything else that goes along with having to have another stand open. And additionally, where the noise can be so loud from the south, even if there is only 200 people in there, I think it would certainly be probably more of an intensive sound from the Charlton areas. I mean, it's pretty intense at the moment, but The only way I see it being an issue is when we get promoted to the Championship. The Championship clubs have a lot bigger following on the whole to away games. So I don't really see how it would work in the Championship. But yeah, I think the club have got to try what they can to save money where possible. I think a lot is being looked at in terms of the pollution levels in having extra people in areas that, I mean, we're trying to go to this sort of more eco-friendly way of working in football, and I think that was part of the reason behind it as well. But I don't know. I think it's one of them things is like, if we try it and it doesn't work, then you just go back to as was. I think other than people being displaced from their season ticket seats, I can't really see it being a massive issue.
Yeah,
but that's just me.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what other people think.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, one question I will ask then to people in the chat is, if you currently sit elsewhere in the ground, would you, I don't know, buy a season ticket in the Jimmy T stand if that became an option? Because I mean, the facilities are poor. Like that's part of the reason why I don't really mind it. It's for away fans. I mean, I've sat in there plenty of times when we were first in the Prem back in the day. We didn't have season tickets. We just came as and when we could, because it was expensive season tickets, that thing, young family, all that sort of stuff. And we sat in there quite a bit, and the view was fine because it's behind the goal, obviously, with the one single pole in the middle, which is a little bit annoying, as mentioned in the chat. But yeah, it's not the best facilities. I mean, Gary said no, all hell let loose, said he'd never sit there. Alan said we should put the away fans in the car park with a big screen. Well, we've got the fans though, don't we? That'd be the best thing. Isaac says, I sit in the covered lower and I don't see why you'd sit there if you want to be behind the goal, and low down the covered end is where to be. So I think we've gone too far. And if the ground was getting absolutely full every week, then they'd be more likely to see people sat there. I think there is a danger that if we made a decision that, let's say in some bizarre circumstances, we're still in League One in the next 2-3 years and we have to make this decision, I just think we'd end up with a very sparsely populated Jimmy Seed stand with Charlton fans anyway, Mark. So I just don't know how much of a difference it will make. And if they're just seeing this as a chance to try and close that stand for some games, which it always looks crap when there's closed stands, no matter what you say, it just looks crap and it affects the atmosphere.
Yeah, and also logistically, I think would be a nightmare because you wouldn't be able to sell season tickets there, because when the clubs who had a bigger following came, you'd have to displace for people who have a season ticket. The guys up in the north upper are not going to move. The guys at the back of the stand making a noise. Those of us who sit in the covered end behind the goal can't see it. The people who sit in the Kirbishley like sitting in the Kirbishley. You've got a good view of everything. It's quite good. And obviously the West Stand, people a bit more money because the season tickets a bit more easy there. But maybe the older fan who just likes a bit more comfort. And then put in. I understand it was no.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. Not until they put the sofa back. No. So it's hard to see who you're going to encourage. I mean, walk-ins on the day, if you put it at, say, a single price, so 20 quid a ticket for adults, £5 for kids, and fill it up that way to try and encourage walk-ins. But then that'll take away from all your other kids for £1, or you bring a mate promos. So it's hard to see because you're not going to get people going to go, oh, I want to try that. A day. People who are sitting there now are sitting where they want to sit. They're probably sitting with mates. I know. So would I want to move there if the guys who I sit next to say, well, we actually want to stay here? I said, well, I'll go up the other end and I'll just wave at you, spasmodically kind of thing. So I can understand them saying, yeah, because it is when, there's 200, 300 fans turn up and it doesn't look great, but I think that's what you take. I think we've got a 28,000 seater stadium. Until we get back up the leagues and we're, away fans are bringing in like QPRs and Millwalls are going to bring 3,000 and fill it out. And then they're going to ask for like the A and the B of the East Stand. So as a money-saving exercise, I think there's better ways they can save money. Logistically, I think it would be an absolutely terrible nightmare, and I can't see many people who would say, "Oh yeah, I'll jump at the chance to go there," unless they drop the prices dramatically to encourage people to say, "Oh look, season ticket with Jimmy Seed, £100 less," and then you might have a few more people, because it does come down to finances. Go, well, you know what? Maybe we'll do that for a season, see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll see. I mean, one of my major concerns is Paul says he's worried about the away fans throwing stuff into the West Lower, which I don't think. I'm more worried about them throwing stuff at me, because I sit West Upper and then right in the middle in a gantry. So I mean, I think maybe the amount of stewarding they're going to have to try and just buy extra stewards to sit directly around me and protect me. In case I've said something mad about one of the clubs we're about to play. Dan says, I think it's better to have away fans who are not behind the goal regardless. It's more of a home advantage, but you can see the police being unhappy with it. We've done it once or twice. I mean, Brighton have been up there, Bournemouth have been up there. The Brighton game, obviously, I think all their fans, they had about 6,000, and including about 3,000 West Upper, which was very strange. Charlie sits in the West Stand. He says it's full of nutters. One guy called the ref the other day, called the ref a div the other day. Well, we're lucky I haven't closed the whole stand, mate. Although, to be fair, at times you look in that stand and it's been quite sparsely populated. And you wonder if they have closed it because, we'll see. Right, we've got 5 minutes left. We'll do the thing I said we won't do, which is have a very quick look at Wrexham and Wycombe's run-ins. Now, the Wrexham fan who joined us earlier in the chat just said earlier, or other than saying our POSH going to do them a favour over the weekend, says he's starting to think that our match on April the 26th might end up deciding the automatic spot. Wycombe are likely to fall away. So I'll run you through the two sides run-ins quickly. So Wrexham have got to play. They're playing Stockport on Saturday at home, which is a tough game. They're going away to Exeter and Cambridge. Then they're at home to Burton, away to Wigan, home to Bristol Rovers, away to Blackpool, home to us, and then last day of the season they're away at Lincoln. Now, far from it for me to say, but that's quite an easy run-in, it feels like, especially comparatively. I'd say maybe they've got two difficult games in there, which is us and which is Stockport. Maybe Blackpool have been on the up, I think, slightly, but not to the extent I'd say they're a difficult game. Wycombe have got Lincoln at home. Not this weekend. They're not playing this weekend. They must have had an international break. Shrewsbury at home after that, which is an easy game. Reading away, difficult. Huddersfield away, difficult. Stevenage at home, medium difficult. Bolton away, very difficult. Charlton at home, the most difficult game you can get in the division at the moment. Orient away, relatively difficult, although maybe not as much as it was a few weeks ago. And then they end the season at home to Stockport, so that could be interesting if they're both involved in the top two. Sue, I mean, that's that running for Wycombe. We're not concentrating on what the other teams are doing, but I've just read a list of every game they're playing. I mean, that's quite difficult, isn't it? That's one thing we can try and cling on to. If we do our business, there's a couple of teams out there that might do us a favour.
Yeah, I think I would just echo what you said. Like, out of the two run-ins, Wrexham have definitely got the easier one of the two. But yeah, I mean, that's a game and a half, isn't it? That last game of the season, them against Stockport. But yeah, again, I'm boring, but we can't worry about what everyone else is doing. We've got to focus on ourselves. But I wish we could do one of them tables where we did with us, with must win, could get a point, might lose for both of them. But then that's just going a bit too over the top with it.
You say that we ain't got a midweek game next week, so we'll have plenty of time to talk about stuff. So maybe I'll get the old Excel out.
Yeah, but I think, of course we're all going to be sitting there Saturday, like scanning our phones, trying to look at what's going on. You say they haven't got a game on Saturday for internationals, Wycombe. So again, we won't be having to worry about them. And then does that then give them a game in hand?
Yeah, so they'll have a game in hand on Tuesday. No, the 1st of April we're playing. So what game have they got? They'll have one more to squeeze in somewhere. I'll try and work that out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they've still got 9 games left. It's in there somewhere. Their game in hand will be away at Huddersfield on Tuesday, the 8th of April. So it's not exactly an easy one.
No, that's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah.
Mark,
no more difficult than ours.
Nah, I mean, when you see that run in, Mark, does that change anything for you?
Not really. I mean, they've got, the Shrewsburys, the Cambridges. You fancy they're going to do them. I'd say Exeter away isn't an easy one. They're not great, Exeter, but at home, someone will tell me I'm totally wrong. But I always think Exeter away is a long travel. It's a way to go, and you need to get something. Reading is another one you'd pick out, and you go, oh. But again, like they say, there's always shocks. There's always things which make you go, we could, like Sue said, we could do Peterborough 5-1, and then Huddersfield come to us and do us 3-0, and it's just like, there's no guarantee, but it's not. I think if it comes down to the last day of the season, I'd rather be playing Burton at home than have Stockport.
Yeah, see what you mean about that. Right, we've run out of time on this week's big match preview. We've had a little look at the other teams' fixtures. I keep saying every week, we're not going to worry about it, and then every week I bring it up somehow because I was sat there with my head in my hands when Dylan flapped to that corner on Tuesday night. I put it that way. Right, we'll leave it there. This has been Charlton Live. Many thanks to those of you who joined us live in the YouTube chat. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well, so you never miss another show. Check out our merch store as well, charltonlive.etsy.com if you want to buy a Charlton Live branded mug. Thanks to Ashley from Up the Poshcast who joined us earlier on today. Sue and Mark, been an absolute pleasure as always.
You too. Thanks everyone as well.
Lovely stuff. Thanks to Tracy as well, who joined us earlier on the show, who was a really good guest. And I'll stick out the links for where you can donate and sign up for those events as well. Right, this has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendes. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again on Sunday morning.
Charlton Live.